All right.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Christina, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the reality of a plant called marijuana, or Mary Jane as most of you may know it as. So to start off, I have a question for everyone. Who here stereotypes? From a show of hands, raise your hand. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Okay, well, the reason I asked that question was because most of the time, many people tend to stereotype marijuana as like, a bad, harmful, addictive drug that only, the gangsters, the rappers, the minorities are the only people that smoke or take it. But in reality, it's not harmful for your body at all, and many people take marijuana. According to the Foundation of Marijuana Usage Statistics in the UK, 158.8 million people in the United States take marijuana year-round. That's 3.8 of our whole world's population. That's huge. And so the thing about stereotyping is that when you stereotype something or someone, you don't really know what they're about, and you just judge it. So I'm here to tell you guys the facts about marijuana, what it really is, and how it's beneficial and not harmful to your body. So to start off, in case you guys didn't know, marijuana is actually basically just crushed up leaves from a flower of a plant called Cannabis sativa, otherwise known as the hemp plant. And there's many different ways you can take it. You can roll it in a blunt, a joint, smoke it from a bong, a pipe. You can even eat it. Like, you name it, they have it. That's how popular it is. And so my first point is that marijuana has not yet been proven to cause any illnesses in anyone's body at all. So no one still to this day has proven that marijuana can harm you. On top of that, according to Ask Men magazine, Dr. Lesper Grinspoon, a professor emeritus at Harvard Medical School, quotes that there are no deaths from cannabis use either, anywhere. You can't even find one. So not only has it not yet been proven to cause any illnesses, it hasn't been proven to cause any deaths, which is huge. And if you guys didn't know what a professor emeritus is, it's basically a professor that has been working at a school for many, many years and has gained like an honorable title. So to hear that from a professor emeritus at Harvard Medical School, that's huge. So adding on to that, my second point is that marijuana has no ingredients in it that can harm your body at all. So this is why no one has proven that it causes any illnesses. So if you guys didn't know, the main ingredient in marijuana is THC, and THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. And basically, that's the stuff that makes you high. So depending on how much THC is in your weed, that's how high you'll get. And according to the National Center for Biotechnology Information Studies, THC has actually been deemed the title of anti-emetic medication, which basically stands for anti-nausea medication. So basically, smoking marijuana helps cancer patients that undergo chemotherapy stop them from throwing up. And on top of that, according to the same source, the cannabinoids in THC also help with fighting cancer cells. So it basically stops cancer cells from duplicating. So not only does it stop cancer patients from throwing up, it also helps fight their sicknesses because it stops cancer from duplicating in your body. And so the third point I'd like to make is that marijuana also helps with HIV patients. According to Refinery 29, which is a website that does studies on marijuana, marijuana actually helps with eating problems and headaches. Because usually when you have HIV, your body tends to get really weak because you're basically infected with a virus that you can't really fight. But when doctors are given patients that have HIV, they tend to prescribe them with marijuana because it helps them stop having the common symptoms of headaches, and it helps them eat better because it's hard to eat when you have HIV. And so my last point is that you guys would think that marijuana is only smoked by our age group, the younger teens, but actually, if you guys didn't know, elderly people take marijuana as well. According to Philly.com, which is another website that does studies on marijuana use, marijuana actually helps with arthritis and sleeping problems. So generally, if there's elderly people in the hospital and they can't fall asleep or they have joint problems, doctors tend to give them some marijuana. So overall, actually another point I'd like to make is that the medical director of the Los Angeles Comprehensive Pain Relief Group, which is Gregory A. Smith, he says that marijuana is a lot safer than the prescription narcotics that he tends to detox people from. So he's saying that marijuana is safer than a lot of the drugs that we have today that are approved by the FDA. So overall, not only does marijuana help with fighting cancer, it also helps with HIV, and it also helps with helping people sleep better and eat better. And overall, marijuana is not a bad drug at all. Stephanie B. Korn, an MD and academic clinician at Harvard Medical School, even says that marijuana helps with ALS, multiple sclerosis, trauma, and many other problems that have yet to be proven. So technically there's no proof that it's killed anyone. It only helps you, so marijuana is very beneficial and it's not harmful to your body.
Back up your evidence with personal experiences. You have to back up your evidence with personal experiences.
I know it's that. Because I had so much.
All right, Christina, I think we got the topic at the beginning pretty well. I'm not exactly sure that the stereotype phrasing that you have there at the beginning works the best as an attention device, but I understand why you used it. I think you could probably use a story or example and be a little bit more effective there. I have a little bit of an issue with the proposition because to me it's not clear whether or not your argument is that marijuana has medical benefits or whether or not marijuana is safe for people to consume for recreational purposes. And it starts off like the argument is there's no proof that marijuana is harmful. And so I get some denial evidence on that, which, you know, it's okay to present, but all the respondent to this is going to point out is, well, I don't know what studies that person missed, but here are the 20 studies that indicate a variety of harms from consumption of marijuana. So I'm not sure that that general piece of information is all that useful. I think you're better off with the more specific issues about marijuana having medical benefits. And I think now that I've heard what the secondary structure is like, that's most of what you're making your argument based on, that it has potential medical benefits for people. So I think that would have been a better idea to stick to as the proposition. The secondary points, they're identifiable. Again, they're often not phrased as claims. They need to be a little bit sharper on that. And I think you need to have a little bit more evidence on some of the points. A couple of the points I thought you developed pretty well. There were 2 or 3 pieces of information that suggest that a conclusion is valid. That last piece of evidence, though, just throws in everything in the kitchen sink in the quote. And I think that that's one of the problems with information here is that it's very surface level and we don't get any research. We don't have any clinical studies. We do have experts who have said that, like you said on the first point, marijuana has not killed anybody. Well, it's not toxic. And I'm not sure anybody believes that it's toxic in the sense that you can OD or poison yourself on it. So to me, that's not a place where there is argument. There's argument about the effect that marijuana has on people's behavior and some long-term health consequences that are probably not life-threatening per se, but they might have other physical issues. So that's where the controversy is. So I think you're a little bit, picking a straw man to argue on that point. There were a couple of sources that you cite. I thought you did a good job trying to qualify Green Spoon, for instance. That first statistic that you had, did I hear correctly that it said that there are 158 million Americans who are using marijuana? Is that the number that you had? Okay, that number is 6 times larger than any estimate I've ever heard before, and the group that you were citing needs to be qualified so that we know who that is. So you're going to have to explain that because that is a huge number. That's basically saying more than half the country is using marijuana on a regular basis.
That's what I said. 3.8% of our whole population.
38 point...
3.8% of our whole world's population.
Of the world's population. So this is not the United States then? Okay, 158 million people around the world. Okay, that's more believable.
Yeah.
That's what, I swear the first question I asked was, did it say that this was,
Yeah.
in America? And you said, yeah. And I said, well, wait a second, that's a number that's ridiculously high. Okay, now I understand. So that's a little bit more believable. Okay, that makes more sense, All right. Also, on the last point, you have this argument about how the elderly are smoking pot too. That doesn't prove that the elderly are smoking pot. It just says that it benefits some of the illnesses of people who are aged. And you mentioned in particular arthritis, I think. You made a claim that doctors are prescribing it for people in hospitals. I don't know that there's a hospital in the country that gives out marijuana in its dispensary and allows people to smoke it in their hospital. So there might be people who prescribe marijuana for medical benefits, but almost always it's in a clinical context outside of a hospital situation. So you got to be careful about your language there, because that's another one of those things that kind of affects the credibility. All right. Thank you.